MGK and Megan Fox broke up. Now, I want to say that I'm surprised. Unfortunately, I'm not surprised because there were so many red flags. And honestly, we can learn so much from their dynamic, especially from Megan, because this is not about MGK. He's not really important in this dynamic, which might surprise you, but we're going to get into why we need to focus on her and not on him and what he did. And if you like content like this, where you want to learn about lifestyle, psychology, manifestation, all that good stuff, please make sure that you hit the subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and leave me a comment and let me know whether you saw it coming or not. And I would also like to know what freaked you out the most about their relationship, because to me personally, as someone who does read tarot and who does know a lot about spirituality, the way that they presented twin flames really helped further the negative toxic stigma around it, which is not really accurate. So that's one thing that really always irked me about them. And you don't need to drink anybody's blood to be a twin flame. Okay, let's just put that out there. Anyway, let's get into the video. So if you came from TikTok, I already dived into it a little bit on TikTok, but I figured I'll make like a long form video to kind of go into everything that I noticed about their relationship, their dynamic, and also the change that happened within Megan. So I loved Megan since her Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen days, which by the way is an incredible book. It's a great movie, but it's not 100% reflective of what the book is actually about. But it was very formative for me to read. I read it when I was, I think, 9 or 10 years old. And if you remember her from those days, she had very little plastic surgery. She was just very warm, very kind. She had a lot of very inviting, warm energy about her, which is, and I mean, this is my personal opinion, is completely different nowadays. I think her energy is a lot more cold and distant, and we do know that something's happened to her in the meantime since, especially on the Transformers set, whether you want to believe what she said or not. But being a young woman in Hollywood messes you up. It definitely messes you up. It screws with your self-esteem. It screws with your confidence, really. And I think it also brings a lot of trauma with it, regardless of whether you want to engage with those things. I think there are certain things you have to do in order to go through the ranks to get to where she is, and I think that can really mess you up. So I don't think that that's a secret. But if you look at her from back in the day, she was so beautiful. I think she already had a nose job done. Don't quote me on that though. I think she already had her nose done, and the rest was pretty natural, I'm pretty sure. But she was just so beautiful, looking young and youthful and radiant, and she had this air about her that was almost like a silent confidence. And it was very interesting to see her interact with Lindsay Lohan, who was the main character in the movie, and just their dynamic. Like, you could tell, you know what I mean, that those were just two young women on their rise to stardom. Now, if we look at Megan today, I think she's very cold, she's very distant, and she's very, it's almost like she's putting on a costume, like she's being very edgy and, you know, very like almost like a little bit quirky and doing all these like crazy things and making sure that everybody knows about it, and she's constantly talking about it. And that is a huge sign of having very poor self-concept. Now, self-concept is not self-esteem. So, okay, self-esteem is part of self-concept, but self-concept is not just self-esteem. Self-concept in psychology terms, manifestation terms, whatever you want to call it, I always tell you guys it's the same thing, is pretty much the way you perceive yourself and the way you perceive the world around you to perceive you. So let's say she is someone who has been sexualized a lot as a teen. If she encounters, let's say, a brand new director because she's getting cast for a movie, her self-concept will automatically assume that this person sees her as a piece of meat. And in turn, her subconscious, because it's bias that our brain is hardwired to have to confirm, will move all the puzzle pieces around her, which does include the way she speaks and the way she acts, in order to bring that belief in. Now, one thing that I find very difficult about the New Age community, and especially when talked about New Age spirituality, is that a lot of coaches will not help you differentiate the difference between being responsible for your subconscious and being a victim of your subconscious. I do see a lot of victim blaming, which grinds my gears, because you have to understand that 99.9% of our belief system is rooted on what we were taught as kids. You do have a subconscious from, I looked it up, I forgot, but basically when you're still in utero, you start developing a subconscious, I think from 5 months pregnancy on or something like that. So even your parents talking to you or experiencing things, right, outside of you already having been born and realizing what's going on around the world, your subconscious is being influenced by that. I don't like the narrative of it's your subconscious, it's your beliefs, and because you hold them and you didn't do something about them, you're responsible for everything that happens to you. I find that very, very dangerous. I even saw, and I don't want to call somebody out, but I saw someone coaching someone else and even saying, yeah, because you were S8 as a kid, that happened because your subconscious was telling you, I think that you're just insecure or something. That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. That broke my heart, because everything that happened to you as a child, you're not responsible for. If you grow up in a household where violence is love, that's not your fault. Growing up and becoming an adult and understanding the psychological dynamics between your subconscious, you do have a responsibility to yourself and your inner child to heal that. It's just like going to therapy. I don't like the fact that people say New Age spirituality is this woo-woo thing and then go to therapy instead. It's the same thing if you do it correctly. However, therapy, and I can say this as a psychologist myself, therapy takes much longer and is much harder and is much more traumatic in my personal experience, because I've also gone to therapy, versus doing it through manifestation. And I am going to get to, at the end of the video, how we can learn from this situation. But in Megan's case, I find, just from observing her, the way she talks about herself, the way she talks about her relationship, the way she had to so publicly let everybody know what they were doing at all hours of the day, it's giving very, very insecure energy. It's giving, I have to work for love, I have to earn love, I have to earn respect, and I have to have other people in the loop in order to legitimize my relationship, so that it's harder to, and this is the crazy thing, we assume that if other people know about it, it makes it harder for the other person to treat us wrongly or walk away or just do something to us that we don't want, because it's almost like we have the public behind us, right? There's eyes on the situation. And coupled with the fact that Megan does get a lot of work done, and there's nothing wrong with getting work done. I've had work done. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's the amount and the frequency at which she is getting her work done that is concerning to me. Yes, you can say everybody's allowed to do with their body what they want. Yeah, of course they are. But I think that before you get work, you should definitely consider the deeper root of why do you want to get it done. Is it because society tells you that you're not beautiful? Societal standards change almost on a 6-month basis. And the reason why societal standards change is because so you get work done all the time. So you feel unhappy about yourself. So you do hate yourself. The work that I got done was coupled with a medical procedure I already had to have done anyway. So to me, I don't think it would have been something that I would have gotten done had I not needed the medical procedure anyway. Societal standards change on a regular basis, so we feel bad about ourselves. But Megan is part of that machinery. So she is part of the group of people who are meant to change themselves on a regular basis, so we do feel bad about ourselves. And you can only be around that environment for so long until it seeps into your subconscious and you take on those beliefs as your own. I think she is deeply unhappy with herself, and there's no reason for it. She's so beautiful, she's smart, she's talented, she deserves the world. But even if you look at her first relationship, her marriage, this man was so much older than her. This man did not treat her right. I'm pretty sure he cheated on her too, if I remember correctly. But even in the comment section, I saw some people say, well, there's nothing wrong with a 20-year-old dating a 40-year-old. Yes, they're both legal, but from a psychology standpoint and from a power dynamic standpoint, I find it very concerning. And I find it very, very difficult for people to say, well, because it's legal, it's okay. There's a lot of psychological ramifications behind that we do need to consider. And that especially and this is the thing. I've seen a lot of people say, well, but if it were the other way around, would you say something as well? 100%. It's not gender specific whether you can be traumatized or not. And I don't want to have that discussion either. I think both is wrong. Women are known to be psychologically fully developed by age 21, 22, and men 25. So we even have science to back that up. So I think that her marriage, especially in the back and forth and all of that, already gave you a blueprint of how she feels about herself. And she is seeking outside validation through toxic relationships that for some reason, somehow, and I didn't grow up with her, so I don't know, but this is just my assumption, reflect some sort of experience that she had growing up in her household where she was taught that cheating and pain and crazy toxic love is love and not abuse. I don't think she sees it as abuse. And I do think that she's probably gonna give him one more chance. I think she reacted out of emotion. This was that part of her that knows she deserves better. That, went out and about and then talked about it and deleted her Instagram and stuff. But I do think that she probably deleted her Instagram because her subconscious programming took over again. And the part of her that was like, I deserve better, I'm this badass woman, probably got overshadowed by the subconscious belief of, but wait a minute, but we do deserve this and you do love this man, so why are you freaking out? Because you should forgive him. There's guilt and there's shame involved in it. And it's not the guilt and shame involved in terms of letting other people into your relationship. It's about, now I went against the programming that I have. I'm trying to break out of it, but my subconscious tells me that I'm wrong. And now my life is at risk because, funnily enough, if we go outside of our subconscious programming, fight or flight sets in, even if it's something like super minor. And that's where the embarrassment then kicks in, where she's like, now I went against my morals and my values and what I actually believe in, where I feel comfortable in, and now I made a fool of myself. And everybody is gonna look at me crazy, which again is misogynistic societal standards. And it's not just misogyny, but it's in general. Like, if a man were to do that, we wouldn't necessarily call him crazy or hysterical. That's just a fact, unfortunately. Also, I don't want to make this seem like I don't like men. I like men. I love men. I think they're great. I'm just saying, it's unfortunately a lot of the systems that society has put up are misogynistically ruled. And I've said this in a TikTok before, because women are the ones who hold feminine energy and feminine power, which is where manifestation comes from. And it's not women, technically, it's everyone with a uterus who can menstruate, because that's where it comes in. So keep that in mind, just for future reference. Anyway, I do believe that deep down, there's a part of her that feels that she deserves to be cheated on because she is lacking something, whether that's outer appearance, whether that's something inside of her, whether that's something that she grew up around. Something in her subconscious tells her that she is not good enough and that she needs to work so hard to make this man love her and not leave her, that she's going above and beyond, making a fool of herself, right? Talking about all these super private things and making people think that she's not a good mom because she's not parading her kids around, because she's not spending time with them, which, by the way, we don't know whether she is or not. We should not judge. And that in turn sends out an energy of, I'm not good enough, right? And if you're new here, so there's this thing called thought transmission. You can look it up, and self-fulfilling prophecy. So thought transmission is just the system of us being able to talk to people telepathically. And a self-fulfilling prophecy is exactly what happened here, where you hold a subconscious belief that your brain has to confirm. It's a specific bias that you have towards a situation, and your brain has to confirm that in order to quote unquote keep you safe. So in Megan's mind, and this is subconscious, again, it's something that she might not even think about on a daily basis. But if you notice something when he goes on tour or he's somewhere else, she's more times than not somewhere to be found. She does not leave him out of her sight very much. Even though we know that they're an item and they're very serious and he's very about her, you know? And out of the two of them, she's the one who was always a little bit more cold and distant, which again, there's a reason for it. We're going to get into it in a minute. But she never really left him out of sight that much, which implies a lack of trust. So in her mind, she couldn't trust him. Whether he was trustworthy, you know, is absolutely irrelevant. And then her subconscious programming kicks in that says, well, I mean, how can I be in love and how can I be valued? Because I don't deserve that. I'm not good enough. And I saw in the past that, you know, I deserve to be cheated on because I am not good enough. I lack something within me. So of course this is going to happen in my relationship. And this is where the difficult, tricky part comes in. Because subconsciously we start to do small certain things that, and this is very tricky. I don't want to, and this is the problem. So the thing is this, we start to do certain small things that then in turn end up with our brain having to confirm our suspicion and our bias and our assumption, which then leads to the other person stepping out, even if they consciously don't want to. Because oftentimes if you ask them, why did you do that? They will tell you, well, I don't even know. I didn't even have a valid reason to do so. Now, the reason why I'm so feeling a little bit iffy about saying this is because I don't want anybody to watch this video and think, well, great, so I did deserve it. So it was my fault. Or for someone who does it to say, well, there you go, I can blame them. It wasn't my fault. No. First of all, the person who did it, they're still at fault because there's so many people who hold this belief, right? And their significant other still chooses not to, which in turn helps the person that has the problem break the pattern. What you have to understand is that programming that you hold is not your fault. It is not your fault. It is society. It is your parents. It is people you grew up around. It's movies you watch. There's so many things that are responsible. But you, 5-year-old you, 10-year-old you, even 20-year-old you is not responsible for this. This is not your fault. And I don't ever want you to look at yourself and say, I blame myself. I, in my content, make a huge distinction between this is your fault and this is your responsibility and your power. Because, and this is unfortunately, the tricky part in this. If you want to have the power to change it, you have to understand where the dynamic comes from, because you cannot give the power to somebody else and say, they did this and my subconscious had nothing to do with it, but now I can change my subconscious to make sure it doesn't happen to me again. Like, that doesn't work. Does that make sense? So we can take responsibility for the fact that we have control over our subconscious if we are made aware of it. Okay, another thing that I often see, well, why don't people in third world countries manifest their way out? There's only one answer, that's education. Most people are not aware of it. And if you are not aware of it, you are letting your subconscious run on autopilot, getting any and all information from the outside, just boop, 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 just go in. And if you hear it often enough, it will become a belief. Right? And even with Megan, you can see, like I said, she was the one who was a little bit more cold-hearted and distant. She uses coping mechanism and protective mechanisms that she thinks are going to keep her heart safe. But nothing that she did showed that she was doing true self-development to try and figure out what the problem really was, right? So essentially, she's bleeding on someone who didn't cut her based on negative experiences she had as a kid. And this is the horrible part about this. And I even shared a TikTok before where I was watching He's All That, and in one of the scenes where they're changing the guy and stuff, like changing out his clothes and whatnot, they put a song underneath that was like really gross in my opinion, I don't even want to repeat it. If you want to watch it, go on TikTok and watch it. But I was like, wait a minute, this movie is geared towards kids and teens. They're doing it while he's changing and being topless. And let a kid watch that movie 10 or 15 times. That song will seep into their subconscious. Music is one of the most dangerous things that you can listen to, especially if you're listening to it without paying attention. A lot of music has subliminals underneath. I should know, I run a subliminal channel. Like most of my videos on this channel are subliminal. But even lyrics, supraliminal. Supraliminal is a thing. Lyrics, right? If, for example, and I'm not going to name names, but if you have an artist and they make music and they consistently tell you in that music that they're the queen and they're the king and they're the bitch and they're this, that, and the other, and you need to like bow down to them, they're doing that on purpose, and maybe you should stop listening to them. Just saying. Because it affects you. It affects you negatively. Just like if you want to manifest something or you want to retrain your subconscious, pick a song that has lyrics in it and try to also see if it has subliminals in it, because sometimes people put subliminals underneath it. I don't know. Try and find a music that has lyrics in it that further what you want and not what you don't want. If we're heartbroken, oftentimes we listen to sad music. Why? Because it makes us feel better. But why does it make us feel better? Because it feeds the subconscious part of our brain that's sad. It's not helping us get out of it. It's certainly not helping us manifest that person back if we want that person back. But it's definitely creating more problems than there were to begin with. So music is very, very powerful and very strong. And if you look at, and this is the crazy thing. So for example, if you look at country music is my favorite like example to use. Look at the people who have happy marriages. 99% of the time, they will be singing love songs. Look at all the artists whose private lives are crappy. Even look at actors, especially the ones who are very into method acting. Look at their private life. 99% of the time, it's crap somewhere, somehow. And we make fun of the fact that art becomes reality. Art doesn't become reality because of some crazy coincidence. Art becomes reality because if you live in that illusion that you're creating, whether it's through music or through acting, for too long, you start manifesting what you don't want because your subconscious is being bombarded and retrained without you even realizing. So just keep that in mind. And this is why Megan, and this is why I make this video, because I don't want that to happen to y'all. If Megan leaves MGK for good and does not work on whatever trauma she has, she will continue to attract a million more MGKs. Even if they're not like that, she will still continue to attract the same kind of person. How do I know? I've done it a million times. And not only that, I've attracted people where it was like, I know they're horrible people. I know they're on this, that, and the other. Let me manifest and see what I can do. And everybody was like, I don't even recognize this person. They're so different. I don't know what you did to them, but they're not the same. They're so much nicer. There's so much this, like whatever. You have the ability to change anybody and everybody, because as soon as a person interacts with you, they over time have to react to your subconscious beliefs of how you think they see you, and especially how you see them. If you expect someone to consistently disappoint you, that's exactly what will happen. If you expect other people to consistently disrespect you, that is exactly what will happen. You will not change people by yelling at them, calling them names, ranting, and trust me, I've tried it all. You will be forever stuck in this loop of trying to fix something while doing it through masculine energy, which is taking action, even though all of your power lies in the feminine energy of you, which is manifestation, which anybody can access. You just need to know how. And it's just through manifestation. And I also heard through the grapevine, so I don't know if this is true or not, that they were fighting a lot, that they were arguing a lot. And I assumed that Megan probably tried to voice her opinion. And I don't think she's someone who is being heard a lot in her private life if she's trying to voice things, which is why she's so out there, right? Which oftentimes happens if people in your private life don't listen to you. Trying to get this man to change, which does not work, okay? She actively, with everything that she did, pushed him away subconsciously. And it even trickled over in public where they were interacting funny and people were calling out and were like, something's off between them. What you noticed was the off energy that she was giving by trying to protect her heart from someone who she assumed was going to break her heart eventually. And he did. And that's the problematic part of it. We need to take responsibility for the fact that we're an adult now. We owe it to our inner child to mother or father it the way that it did not happen when we were kids. Our parents failed us. So now it's our job to fix that and learn about manifestation the correct way. I have lots of videos, by the way, on my account if you want to learn them. I'm also going to be uploading a lot more moving forward on this channel, going much into detail, going back to basics from beginning to end, and really going through it step by step if you want to learn more. But the number one thing you can start doing today is affirm. Because that's the only way, or the quickest way really, that your subconscious is being retrained. It's not the only way, but it's the fastest way. So let's say you're in the exact same situation as her. You just got cheated on by your significant other and you are heartbroken, but you can kind of sort of pinpoint where it came from. And it doesn't always have to be that you experienced someone in your childhood cheating. Cheating is about not being good enough, being in competition with others and feeling disrespected and overlooked, being invisible. For example, being the invisible child, okay? What you can start is telling yourself in the mirror every single day that you are worthy, you're beautiful, you're deserving of love, you're deserving of respect, you are deserving of loyalty. And if you want to fix that particular situation, you can start affirming that my person has always been and will continue to be loyal to me. Now, obviously, that's not true. We know that that's not true. However, you can affirm this person is loyal to me. But if you were just cheated on, your brain will not recognize that. Your brain will be like, your ego will start saying, yeah, that's fine, but they literally just cheated on you. So we're going to make it extra hard on you to believe that affirmation. If you, however, affirm that this person has always been loyal to you in the past, your brain will start to collect memories that you made with this person to confirm that belief. Careful. Your brain does not need to have actual real memories in order to accept them. They can be fake memories. That's how visualization works. You can make up stories in your head that are not true. If you do that, so mix visualization mixed with real memories, and that affirmation, your brain will start retraining itself and change the story between you and your person, saying that they were always loyal to you. And as a result of that, your dynamic will change. Okay? Another huge thing is when we are being hurt in this way, we want an apology. That's normal, that's natural, that's human. 99.9% of the time, we do not get an apology because we do not forgive ourselves. Because deep down, again, we feel like, I don't know what I did wrong. Why did I deserve this? What was the mistake that I made? And that's the tricky part. You didn't essentially make one mistake. Your subconscious, who you are letting run on autopilot, which is technically the only mistake you made. And again, it's a mistake that you didn't even know you made. Took over and made you do things or say things that you didn't even understand or you didn't want or that didn't even make any sense to you. But because we do it so much, it becomes second nature. Our brain is so busy with trying to keep us alive. It doesn't waste time like on us thinking about, oh, why did I just say that? No, we just know that we feel some type of way and we need to let that emotion out. So we do. And in that moment, we feel justified. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it, right? And that is probably the hardest part to break out of, is the cycle of comfort. Because retraining your subconscious is uncomfortable. It takes persistence, it takes work, it takes doing it every single day for sometimes hours, if you have the time or not, but I would do at least 20 minutes a day. 10 in the morning, 10 in the evening, 10 on your lunch break if you have the time. You don't need to look in the mirror. You don't need to say it out loud. You can do it in your, in your head without anybody hearing. You can plop on headphones. You can record yourself, whatever you want to do. I would recommend you either use subliminals that you can't listen to the affirmations, or record them yourself if you can, just because generalized affirmations can be a little bit tricky. I don't offer coaching right now, but when I do, again, I always give you guys like personalized affirmations because they make a huge difference. They just make it quicker and easier for you. But that's really the only mistake you make, is not knowing that you need to retrain your subconscious. And if you do that, your life has to change because the people around you have to change. And you will also get that apology. You have to forgive yourself. You didn't even know that you were making this mistake. It's not your fault. It's not your inner child's fault. You need to be a little bit more kind to yourself and say, you know what? I know this now. So moving forward, I will make it better. And little bonus tip, when you do that and you work on your self-concept, right? You tell yourself that you're worthy, that you're, a good person, that you deserve good things. And you do need to say that like a lot in a very specific way. Just thinking, quote unquote, consciously thinking that you're a good person while subconsciously having all these like negative beliefs ingrained in you that you're not, is not gonna fix it, okay? Especially if we're someone who says, but I'm a good person, that oftentimes comes from someone telling us that we weren't, okay? That is not enough to retrain your subconscious. So just keep that in mind. And a lot of us are, at a certain age where we are dealing with decades of this. So you have to be a little bit patient with yourself, even if you don't see immediate results, but you will if you stay consistent. However, when we start working on our self-concept, there's a very good chance that you may not want your person anymore. Not because they're not going to conform. They will. They have to. It's law. It's the law of assumption. They have to conform. But when you see yourself in a completely different light, and this is just my personal experience, and I've seen this from others too, your feelings towards that person will change to the point where you're like, I could manifest change in them, but I don't even want to anymore because it was my trauma that was in love with them, not me. And I think specifically for Megan and MGK, that was the situation. I think the part of her that is hurt and traumatized and is just seeking validation after that marriage she went through, that's what fell in love with him. And when he wasn't able to itch that scratch anymore, that's when she started falling back into the old trauma patterns, right? And it was inevitable that he was going to hurt her somehow because she expected that from him subconsciously. And I think the biggest lesson we should take from this is nobody can heal you but yourself. Nobody will fix that hole inside of you. But at the end of the day, doing that work is so vital, so important to your life. It can change anything for you. It can change your personal life, your love, even if you're someone who lives paycheck to paycheck, that's something that's ingrained in you. And I know a lot of people say, oh, but I don't have other opportunities. This is my job. I can't get promoted. I have bills to pay. Yeah, of course. But the beauty of that is, so we have this thing, and I'm going to make a separate video about this. We have this system in our brain that filters out information and filters out our surroundings. If we start retraining it, our entire surroundings will change. They have to conform to this. So maybe all of a sudden you will get extra income somewhere, or a side hustle, or someone gifts you money, or you win the lottery, or whatever the case, or there might be a promotion opening up after all. There's so many opportunities that can happen. The how is not up to you. It's not up to you. What you want is vital. You have to affirm, then you have to, go into living it out. But I'm going to make a separate video about that. But even just affirming is the number one thing you can do right now. And if you tell it to yourself often enough, you will automatically start to embody it. I will never forget this. Someone who listened to one of my subliminals, which I think it was about confidence, left me a comment and said that they noticed all of a sudden that their posture changed. And I think someone else also mentioned it. And they didn't understand why until they read my description as to what the subliminal entailed. And it entailed a different posture. Your brain is so much smarter than you realize. And not that we don't know that our brain is smart. I'm talking about the part of our brain that we don't utilize, that we don't even know what's going on in there, which is why hypnotherapy, for example, can work really, really well, because that's how you access your subconscious. Also good to affirm right before you go to bed, like literally while you're falling asleep, because that's when your subconscious is very open too. But at the end of the day, you can do it whenever. And that smart part of your brain, we need to utilize more often. And we need to stop living on autopilot, because when you do that, you will realize and understand that you have so much more power, that your entire surrounding has to change, that essentially you quote unquote quantum jump, which again isn't, I'm gonna get into all of that. I'm gonna make separate videos for everything. I do have a quantum jump subliminal though, if you want that. And that you will all of a sudden start seeing the world from a place of confidence and of control and power. You will not be afraid of life anymore. And you will not be afraid of your surroundings. You will not be afraid of the political situation. You will not be afraid of the economy anymore. Nothing that happens around you will make you afraid anymore, because you know if you don't like it, you can change it. You can manifest change, okay? Anyway, I really hope you like this video. I really hope this helped you guys. And like I said, if you are in a situation like her, there's so much you can do. It is easier to manifest a new person technically just because you have a lot of baggage with them, but that's up to you. If you want to stay with them, there's a lot you can do. I might actually make a separate video. I do have a video already up on what to do when you are actively in a situation where your person is with a third party. So they're actively cheating on you, or they left you for somebody else. Just on what to do and how that came to be. But I might make a video on what to do if you were just like brand new, newly cheated on, and it was like a random person and they want to fix it or whatever. Because I assume that MGK probably wants to fix it. I mean, I don't think he's very happy with the situation the way it is. But jumping back into the dynamic right away in a way that I assume she probably will, just because it's comfortable. Pain is comfortable for us. And we need to stop doing that, because that should not be our comfort zone. But most of us grew up with so much abuse and so much societal conditioning that we don't even know how to be happy. We don't even know how it genuinely feels like to have peace. And that's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Should not be this way. Okay? So I'm probably going to make a separate video about this and just kind of, help you guys like through that. But Megan needs to do some serious work. She needs to really, really work on her self-concept. And once she does, we would probably see her be a lot more private, be a lot more reserved, and just have this like warmer glow about her, I want to say. So yeah, anyway, I hope you liked this video. Like I said, please make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any questions. I do try to answer all of them if I don't answer them. But you did ask me a question, chances are there's a video coming, because I do have a list where I write down all of your comments. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and I'll see you next time.